Hey, today I wanted to talk about a new application we've released, as well as an older app we've updated. So the new application is called NetBak PC Agent. In short, this is a backup tool for your Windows machines. Now, whether they be Windows 11 or Windows Server, we can back up both. It has a companion app, which is our Hyper Data Protector app that you must run. So that's basically what's on the server side or the NAS side. That's going to be running there to receive the backups. And you're going to have NetBak PC Agent running on the Windows machines to effectively send that data into the NAS and manage schedules, things like that. So what can it do? It can do a full system backup as well as just files and folders. So it's not just one or the other, it does both at the same time. It's completely license free, so absolutely no charge. The only requirement is you must have Hyper Data Protector version 2 on your NAS. So you do need a NAS that supports Hyper Data Protector. But so long as you've got Hyper Data Protector 2 on your NAS and a Windows machine, you're able to make this work. So effectively, what can it do? It can do a full system backup, so you can do a restore using a USB boot disk, which I'll demonstrate in a minute. You can just restore single files, whole folders, whole disks from it as well. You can set it to be a manual backup, schedule backup, and it also uses data deduplication. So if the data is coming in from multiple different PCs and there's a lot of similarities, so let's say you're backing up a lot of Windows 11 machines, some of the data is going to be quite similar between them because it's going to be the operating system. We're going to be able to deduplicate that to keep the disk usage a bit more efficient. As we scroll down, so this is effectively what the software looks like. I'll show you that in a moment. Doing a restore, it creates a USB boot disk to do that. So you create a USB boot disk on one of the machines after you've completed a backup. We'll download a couple of files to create that, have a USB disk, so I'll demo that. And we've also got the Backup Explorer. The Backup Explorer is a tool that lets you navigate through your backups, so it's not just the latest one. You can look through all your past backups, from the newest to the oldest, navigate through the file structure and pick the files that you want to do a restore, the folders that you want to do a restore on. If I scroll down a bit further, we can see the supported platforms. So that's Windows 10 and Windows 11 from the client side. And then you've also got Windows Server all the way back to 2016 supported. So 2016, 2019 and 2022 currently supported with this software. So we'll jump right into the NAS I'm using. So I'm just using the TVS H1288X that I've used in a few videos. Completely bog standard. I haven't upgraded. It's just on 16 gig of RAM. The only thing different here from some of the videos is I have connected it to the 10 gig networking, simply because there's going to be quite a bit of backing up going on here, and it'll just go faster if I do it over the 10 gig network. So that's the only thing I've really changed from the usual setup here. I have installed Hyper Data Protector. It does have a dependent application, so you must have Container Station installed to install Hyper Data Protector. But all I've done is install it and open it. Everything is 0 on the overview. I've not got anything installed, created, backing up to it at the moment. If this app sounds familiar to some of you, we have done a video on it in the past, specifically for backing up VMware or Hyper-V hypervisors. So the app traditionally has always done those two things and still does, but we've now added the Windows PC Server physical device backup as well. You can do all three at once. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can do all of them. So I'm going to be doing the Windows PC Server. So that's effectively what we're going to be demonstrating today, going through showing you this app. This app looks a lot more interesting after some things have been backed up into it, so I'll wait to go through this app a bit more after I've done some backups. Because I use a Mac and this software is for Windows, I've effectively virtualized some things. I've got 5 Windows 11 virtual machines I've set up. They're all identical. I'll talk you through the first one. I'll go through the full installation of the software, setting it up, doing a backup. I've also got a 6th one at the top there called Win11-Restore. That's effectively a blank pre-created virtual machine. That's what I'm going to take the created USB boot disk that I'll create in the video, and I'll mount it to that blank VM a bit later on so that we can do a restore and you can see how that works as well. But there's no Windows in it, there's nothing, all I've done is create a virtual hard disk in it, but I've not actually installed anything on it, not giving it an ISO file for Windows or anything like that. It is just a bare virtual machine ready for a restore to happen on it. So I'll cover that in a minute. So I'll talk you through the first one. I'll probably stop the video, go off and do the other 4. It's the same thing between all of them. Once we've got all of them backed up, I'll then talk you through the Hyperdata Protector app. So to speed this up, I have already downloaded the PC Agent, the NetBak PC Agent. It's in the downloads folder, but I've not installed it. So over here, I'm going to just double click on that. Yes, I'm happy for this to make changes, and I'm going to launch the app. So here's the app. Let me make this bigger so everybody can see it a bit better. So here's the just the picking of the language that you need to use. So we've got quite a few there. So I'm going to choose English here, click OK. Really, this software is just next all the way through. So I'm going to set it up. I agree to the software terms of use. Happy with the location. And then it's just going to run off and install it. It's about a 400 meg download file. So you have to get that downloaded and then installed on each machine. You have to do this for each machine you want to do the backup for. I'll just let that finish. There we go, it's finished. So we're going to launch the NetBak PC Agent. Now there's only one step on the first one you do. There's one extra step, which is creating a repository. It does prompt you that you need to do it. Every other one, you'll just be selecting that repository that you did create. So here's just a nice little start screen. I'm going to click Start. Now it needs to know your NAS IP address. Now if you don't need it, we do have a handy search your LAN function here. So I'm just going to push that. So this is a bit like our QFinder Pro software, which goes off and scans your network and looks for different NAS. It's probably going to find a couple. I'm going to select the TVS H1288X though. So there we go, it's found it at the top. I'm going to select that one. Now it needs the NAS username and password, so I'll use the ones I've got for that. Log in. This is just saying it's an SSL certificate. I'm going to click continue anyway. So now it's just going to sort of inventory everything, see what is on the machine, see what's on the other side as well with the TVS H1288X. So by default, it's ticked all volume, so everything's going to get backed up, and that's about 27 gigs it says. So I'm going to select the target repository over here by selecting the select option at the top right. It says there are no repositories. So this is the only step you really have to do on the first one. Every other one after that, you'll see the repository in the list and you can just select it. So I'll call this Windows 11 because that's all I'm backing up. So I'll say Win11. And you've got to pick which shared folder on the NAS it's going to go to. I created one called Backups, so that's where I'm going to put it. So we'll click Backups, click Create. And it's going to create that repository. So that's doing that on the NAS within Hyperdata Protector. So yeah, happy with that. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to select it, and now it's listed there. So that's really everything I needed to do to pick what I'm backing up and where I'm sending it to. So we'll click Next. Now it's onto the schedule, so you can set this really however you want. So I'll say daily at midnight. That's fine for me every single day. And you can also make it trigger certain events. So if something was to, somebody set off the backup job when somebody logs out of the machine, for example, things like that, you can have it trigger an event where it can lock the system, log you out. That whenever you log out or do a system lock, it's going to trigger the backup. So yeah, you've got a lot of options there. So we're going to click Next. Versioning, so you can choose either version retention, number of days they're kept, or a number of versions. I'm going to leave it on number of versions, that's fine for me. And you've also got some rules whether you want encryption, compression. When the backup completes, does the machine turn off? Does it go to sleep, or do you just leave it running? I'm going to leave it running for this one. And if your computer has more than one network port, you can select which network port it's going to use. I'm going to use the 10 gig one on this one just so that it goes a bit quicker. So we'll click Next. Yep, all happy with that. So I'm going to click Create. And then that's going to just finish making the inventory of everything. It's going to bring us to the software. And rather than waiting till midnight for this to happen, I'm going to hit the Backup Now button when it displays. It's still just setting itself up. And we do also have a little down arrow there that you can click. When you do the down arrow, it just gives you a bit more information below when the backup's running. So you can see a little bit of information, the backup job name. So it's named it after the computer itself, IP address, some basic information. And at the bottom left, we've got the create a USB boot drive, which we'll do toward the end as well. So we can create a USB boot disk and actually use it to restore one of these backups. So let me hit the backup now button, and we'll see how long this takes. So I'll just stay quiet while it's running. You can see all the information. It gives you sort of speed and things as it's running. So we'll just let that run. When it's finished, we'll go through the next steps. Okay, so we can see that's a successful backup. So we also get some nice information, job history, what was transferred. You can also go in and see some extra information here of the backup itself, how long it took, things like that. We can also come across to the logs, so we can see exactly what was happening. So that's effectively everything that we've done, but we've now got a confirmed backup done. Now, if we want to look at this backup, what we can do is we can do this drop down here and go to the Backup Explorer. So it's the warning about the HTTPS certificate. So it's going to open up a web link. So you go log into the NAS with your login. And it's going to open you straight up at your Hyperdata Protector job that you sent. So right now I've only got the one backup, but I can navigate through and I can see everything in here. So this is, you know, the access we were doing. So if I go in, I think I had something in the downloads folder for the NetBak PC Agent. So we can see that's been backed up. Everything's good. And if you ever want to download something, download's grayed out down the bottom. But if you just put a little tick in the box, it lets you download the file. So you can take the file and then go put it back where you need to. But that's the Backup Explorer itself. But that's the backup job done. What I'll do now is I'll go off and finish setting up the other 5. So I get all 5 Windows 11 virtual machines backed up into the NAS. Then we'll take a look at what Hyperdata Protector itself looks like, and then we'll come back and create the USB boot drive option down the bottom and do a restore. So I'll go off and create these other 5 backups now. Okay, so now we're back. I have done the backup of all 5 virtual machines I created, so we can see them listed there in the activity log. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can see that they have all completed. I've got some information showing here now, so I've got 5 successful jobs. So if I come down to the repository, we can see the Windows 11 repository that we created in the first backup, and that's the same one I've used for all the backups. So we can see that the backup space used to back up all 5 VMs was 60 gigabytes. Now each backup job itself was a lot bigger than that total, so we can see here they're almost all the same, so all over 20 gigs, so that would be over 100 gigs used. But because we've had quite a successful data deduplication, because effectively they're all bare Windows 11 installs, so we're getting pretty good rates on deduplication. So instead of having over 100 gig backed up there, we're actually only using 60 gigs to back up that over 100 gigs, so it's quite an efficient use of space. Come down here to the system, we can see everything that's been happening, so all the backups that have been happening in the background. In the job status, we can go in and look at detailed information on each one. There's a report for each one, so you can go through and see some information. If there's more than one job been run, you'll see them down the bottom there. So quite good information on what's been happening within the backup itself. So yeah, lots of information. As you do more backups, obviously the calendar here will populate with a lot more green dots. You know, you're going to have backups every single day. But yes, so some nice information there on the Hyperdata Protector app itself of the 5 machines I've got backed up. Now, if we go back to the virtual setup, what I have done is I have inserted on the last one I did, number 5, I have inserted a USB stick. So I've just got a SanDisk USB stick. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this option down here to create a USB boot drive. So let me just make this bigger again so we can see. So I'm going to go create a USB boot drive. It's going to let me select it. That's the one I've got there. So I'm going to say next. And it's going to download some tools to make this work. So I'm going to click continue. So we've got to download, I think it's 2 tools and install them. They might look a little complicated, but it's just next all the way through. So I'll change that anonymous usage data to no. But accepting, install. Don't have to change any options on anything. Just install it. Once this one's finished installing, it'll prompt you to install the next one as well. I think it's about 6 gigabytes in total, but these are the tools we use to create the NetBak PC Agent's boot key so that we can do a recovery. So we'll just get these installed. Okay, so that's the first one installed. So now we'll go back and click next again. Now we need to download another tool, so I'll click continue on that one. So we'll install it there again. Anonymous usage data no. Next, accept. So this one's a bit larger, 5.5 gigs, so we'll click install on that one. So this one will take a bit longer, so we'll just wait for this one to install. Okay, so that one's installed. Click close, get back to the same screen again, and this time when we click next, it's going to say that the USB drive will be formatted. Are you sure? I am sure, that's fine. So now it's going to go off and create that boot image. This takes a few minutes, so it's going to create a new volume. I think it shrinks the USB key. Mine was a 32 gig. I think it shrinks it to just over a gig of usable space. That's all we need. So we'll let this finish. Once this is finished, we'll carry on to the next step. Okay, so that's finished creating. Just a little instruction here. So effectively it's saying that you put this USB stick into the machine you want to restore to. You have to push whatever button it is on your computer. We give you a clue, it might be F2, to boot from that USB. So when you boot from the USB, it'll start the recovery process. So that's all successful. So let me come out of this. I'm going to actually shut down this VM. So let's get rid of that. So also shut down. So we don't need any VMs up and running that are live with Windows. One thing I do have to do, this is just specific to me because I'm doing it in a virtual environment. I now have to tell this machine that I don't want the USB stick that I've added in attached to this virtual machine anymore. So I'm going to unplug that USB from Win11.5. I am going to go to the Win11 restore one, and I'm going to go add a USB device. So this would just be like you unplugging it from one machine and plugging it into another. So I'm going to pick the SanDisk one there, so that's fine. Add that. So now that's into the restore one. One other thing I have to do is I have to come into my options because I can't really see BIOS options in a virtual environment. I do have to change the boot order, so we can see the boot order there doesn't have anything USB in it. So the USB is down here that I've added. So I'm going to enable it. And I'm going to drag it to the top of the list because that's the one I want it to boot from first. So I'm just going to click OK. Now this VM was set up with exactly the same settings, RAM allocation, CPU, drive space, everything as the other one. I just never gave it a Windows ISO to install Windows. So it is a bare system. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to boot up that system, and then I'm going to see that it's going to try to boot from that USB stick. So this is just opening up into the environment we need with all our options to back up with the NetBak PC Agent. So here we see what we've got. So before restoring the device, it's got to have a network connection to the NAS, and any additional hardware drivers must be required. So we've got options down here to load additional hardware drivers. Now, if you have a machine that needs network connectivity, you might have had to have a second USB connected with some drivers for something. So I'm going to say I'm going to load some hardware drivers. I'm going to click load driver because I've got no network drivers down there. I'm going to browse this PC and I'm going to come down here and I've got my driver CD added. So it's virtual CD drive. So I'm going to open that up and then I'm going to come to NetKVM, which has my network drivers in it. So Windows 11. AMD64, and I'm looking for the setup information file, which is that one there. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to install that driver. So if you have a sort of more generic sort of system where network drivers are automatically detected, it would show it here, so you wouldn't need to do this step. I definitely do with my setup, just because it's the virtual one. So there we go, we can see we've added in the virtual Ethernet adapter. I've also got to do a couple of other steps as well on my unit here, simply because it needs to know where the storage itself is. So we'll go to this PC, this one down here, scroll down to the bottom, gotta go in here and add 2 from here, I believe. So we'll do that one. Install. This is just because of the way I have my hard drives shown in the virtual environment. So we'll click OK on that one, and I think there might have been one more. Let me have a quick look. So yeah, I think I need this one as well. Again, this step wouldn't really be needed. Maybe the network one, but most of the other ones you probably wouldn't need. So we've added the drivers that we need for what we're doing here. So now we're going to configure network settings if you want to. So if you have to set a specific IP address for your network to find your QNAP, you'd do that here. So now we're just going to click Get Started. Now here we don't have the option that just goes and finds the QNAP on the network. Unfortunately, it's not possible here. So here we have to know what the IP address is of the QNAP. So if I was to come out and go here, I can see that it's 10.10.0.160 in my case. So that's what we're going to go look in. I'm going to go type in here. So I'm going to go 10.10.0.160. And it's the same username and password you would have used to log in to NetBak PC Agent when doing your backups. So I'm going to click Login. It's going to log in, try to find the NAS, then it's going to populate the list of backup jobs that it can find. Now I can pick any of them because they're all really the same. So it should show me, because I use the same login for every one of my backups, so it should show me Win11-1 all the way through to -5, but we'll see what we get. So there we go. So now we see Win11, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we see them all listed there. Now I can pick whichever one of these I want. I know I made the boot key from number 5, but I can restore from number 1 if I want. So I'm going to select that one. So it's the first backup we did. So I'm going to say next on that one. So it's just confirming. I'm only seeing one job because I only made one backup on this one. Typically you'd see a few more, so you could go back to an older one if you wanted to. But I'm happy with that. That's where it's going to go. I'm going to click next, and it's asking which restore type. So a system volume restore or a full device. I'm going to say full device on this one. So happy that that's where the target disk is going to be. Everything on that volume is going to be deleted, which is absolutely fine. And then I'm going to click Restore. In my case, when it tries to do the restart, it's going to try to boot from the USB key again because I've forced it to do that. So I'm probably going to have to turn the VM off, go remove that USB option, and then turn it back on again. But we'll get the same result. So we'll just let this do its restoration of this one. Okay, so we can see that that's now finished, the restore. We've got a countdown in the bottom right corner with the restart device is going to happen automatically. Again, in my case here, it's going to restart back to this wizard simply because I've sort of hard set the settings that it's going to boot from USB. That's just the nature of the virtual setup I'm using. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of let it do what it's doing there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the virtual machine itself. So I'm going to right click on it here, I'm going to click stop, effectively just powering off that virtual machine because it's not doing what I need it to do just with the setup. So I'm going to come into the options. I'm going to change the boot order, just like I did earlier. I'm going to disable the USB option, move it down to the bottom again, how I found it. I can come to the hardware section as well if I want, and I can remove that USB device now. I don't need it, it's not doing anything. But I can come and power up this machine now, and it should boot up as Win11-1. So if we go check the name of the VM, once it's booted up, it should match the first one we did, because that was the backup that I chose. So we'll just make that bigger again. So this was a blank virtual machine. I hadn't installed Windows on it. It was effectively an empty disk. So we can click in here. Good signs already. So I'll log in, and then that's it. We are now back into Windows 11, fully restored. If I check the system information on this machine, it should show us effectively how this machine's set up, what the name is. So if I come here and go to computer management, maybe I should have gone system information. So system information, there we go. So system information, system name is Win11-1. So that's the one that I restored. So that was a full restoration of that machine. So that one, as I say, that was the exact same as this Win11-1 we had down here, but it's now Win11-restore in the terms of VM list. But yeah, that was NetBak PC Agent running on the TVS H1288X. We can see we've now got a successful job name, which was the restore that we did. But that's NetBak PC Agent, completely free. Does need a Hyperdata Protector installing on the NAS, which again is free as well. So if your NAS supports Hyperdata Protector and Container Station, by all means give this a go. If anybody has any questions on how to use this or any feedback, please do leave it down in the comments section down below, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thanks a lot for watching. Bye.